This is the Ben Herman Show.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ben Herman Show. As always, I've got another awesome guest, and this one's actually a dear friend of mine as well, Mr. Rashad Haywood, which also happens to be known by DJ Shady. What's up, man?
Not much, man. How you been?
Good. Always glad to be around you in the flesh, man. We're here at the the Prophet DJ Mastermind, and so it's just great, man. Because I feel like you came to the first one, right?
Yep.
But we haven't seen you since. So, and that's not to call you out or anything on camera, which I just did. But that's okay.
I think this is my third one, though, right? Because I came to the first one at Resorts World.
Yeah.
The second one, we had the MEX combination. We were actually supposed to do this interview then.
Oh, that's right.
And then this is third.
Yeah, well, so it wasn't a mastermind at the MX, though. But that was just like a meetup.
Oh.
I was just hanging out.
I'm tripping.
It's always good to hang out on the show, man.
You're right, then.
It's good to hang out, though, for sure.
Oh, always.
So the reason why you're so near and dear to me, man, not that I have any favoritism here, right? But, like, you and I go way back in a sense that, like, before Profitable DJ was even a thing, I was doing business coaching through DJ University. And you're one of the first clients on the business side for DJ University. Do you remember that?
I do.
Man.
I do. It was I feel like a long time ago. But
right?
Yeah. And to, see how much you've grown and how much I've grown, it's been awesome. But yeah, I remember back in the heyday, and it was just us two. And letting you push me outside my limits.
Yep.
Get me off the cliff so that I'm not just in my comfort zone, facing some of my fears, analyzing kind of even just some of my emotions that I was having, which I don't feel like I would have gotten on my own. Mm-hmm. You really were giving me that one-on-one attention at that time where you were really diving deep to find why I was having these types of emotions or acting in the way that I was doing, and what I was trying to pursue. So yeah, I mean, back in the day, we had good times. Good times
for sure.
Yeah. Much growth since.
It was cool. I mentioned this at the mastermind, but I'll mention it here on camera as well. Is that I was actually looking to put out a group coaching program.
Yeah.
And after a webinar, because I was still new at this thing, like I knew how to run a DJ business, but I was like, this online coaching thing is kind of new to me, right?
Yeah.
And I was expecting multiple people to sign up, and it was just Rashad.
Yeah.
And so I promised this group coaching call,
yeah.
But then I was like, dude, Rashad, you get one-on-one with me, man. That's a free upgrade for you. I tried to kind of elevate it a little bit, play it off. Yeah. But it was actually really great because we got to spend so much more time. Because now, in a group coaching setting, it's like, there's limited time because I have to share with everybody else as well, right? So I guess, before we get into our conversation, man, for the people that don't know who DJ Shady is, do you mind giving them kind of a background story? How did you get into DJing, and what's DJ Shady known for?
Yeah, so I feel like I was drawn to music, like some of like old memories that I have is like big sports fan, football, basketball, all that sorts of stuff. And like just hearing like the music that they play in between timeouts and things like that, and the energy that it brought was something that like really connected with me. And I was kind of like, oh, I would kind of want to do that, whatever they're doing. And back then it really wasn't much of like any, actual technical skills. They're literally just press and play, it's bringing so much energy to the crowd. When I graduated high school, my uncle bought me this like landmark education, which is kind of like a coaching program in order to like better yourself. And I was the youngest person in the entire group, and I just felt like an outcast. I had to drive, I'm originally from Stockton. I had to drive from Stockton all the way to Oakland 3 days in a row, and it was like an all-day event. And I just was like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why my uncle got me this. Like, apparently my mom has done it, and a lot of the other family members. But I connected with the guy who lived in Sacramento, which is about 30 minutes north of me, and got to get started with him as far as being a roadie. So he was doing all types of events. He even got to a point where he would do corporate party events where it was like a trivia where he had podiums and holiday parties in which they can do that, where it's like guessing what the song is or the artist or all that sorts of stuff. And so that was kind of like my first time of like getting my feet wet as a DJ. Once I graduated high school, I moved to Hayward to go to college. And at that time, like I got on this like, I just want to like incorporate more and more speakers because I had like my first apartment. So I had speakers all around the entire house and like decked it out, and had, was using virtual DJ at the time with no controller or anything like that.
Just a laptop?
Yeah. And so like more and more, like, I'd have people over and do little, DJing here and there. And then started to accumulate more and more equipment. And literally as the more times that I would actually do an event or get some money, I would literally just put it back into equipment. And that was kind of where I just started growing. And I, went to college, graduated, pursued being a personal trainer for several years. And then it wasn't until about 2018 that I actually started getting a little bit more serious about it, which I started putting money into advertisement.
Oh, you did?
Nice. Yeah. And so I was working very few amount of gigs, but paying a lot more for the opportunity. And the big conundrum where kind of to connect how I ran into you are, how your advertisement really spoke to me was I started looking at the numbers, and I had for years been paying more to just get in contact with people or get in contact with leads.
Okay.
But they were reaching out to 5 or 6 DJs. So every one of those DJs were going to be charged for it, and only one DJ could do the event. And so it's like I would lose out just because
it's like the pay-per-lead sites that you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's like a not bid strategy, right? But it's like, all the people were buying the same leads.
Yeah.
And it's like, may the best person win,
right? Right. And, at that time, I didn't have any social proof or, I didn't really have any kind of business mindset per se. What I ended up trying to go to, I was like, maybe I want to try nightlife. I love going to clubs. That's like my favorite thing. I love to go see a lot of my favorite DJs. And I was like, maybe that could be me one day, And so your advertisement kind of had spoke to me about like getting the gigs that you want kind of thing. And so I feel like once I made that decision, like it's been so much benefit to me that I've been able to grow way further than I would have ever gone. I would have been trying strategies, not a part of like a community that can support me or that have gone through the things that I can learn from. So, sorry, that's a long answer to your question
that's great,
about
man.
how
That's
I got
great.
into DJ. But it's like kind of like this full circle thing. But what am I known for? I guess I've just been really driven. Currently, I'm a single op. And at the moment, I'm working 2 other jobs on top of that. And so the goal is to get my DJ business into a way that I don't have to do these other jobs and I have more time for myself, my family. And it's a lot to juggle, it can be stressful. There's a lot of navigating, a lot of things that I'm learning about how I can be a better father, how I can be a better partner.
Absolutely.
And, there's pitfalls that you have to go through sometimes in order to learn those things, managing your time wisely. I'm really passionate and just like having fun. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like what types of events do you like to DJ for? And I'll be like, you know what? Or what type of music do you like to DJ? It's like, I vibe off of people having a good time, I've never really been into Indian or Bhangra music, but like me and my girlfriend took my son to a Bhangra festival a little bit ago. Just had such a blast just because the people are just having a good time. And it's like, it's such an honor and a privilege to like be a part of these moments that these people have, right?
Absolutely.
Weddings are just like such a like historic moment for people's families that literally people, you don't DJ events with people sad ever. Like, like people have these gigantic smiles on their face and that just is super fulfilling for me. And that's where I get the value, where I am so thankful that I'm able to be a part of it. And it just, allows me to feel success, but also really enjoy what I'm doing. Not just chasing a paycheck, because I've never really wanted to do that at all. I've always wanted to find what I would be excited about doing. And now that I've, taken on starting this DJ business, I kind of like, dang, I studied kinesiology in college. I kind of wish that I actually studied business, So if I could go back in time, I would. But I also feel like it's great for me to be in a community with a bunch of licensed partners that I can get that information from other people. Absolutely. That I feel is super valuable.
Yeah. Well, help me understand, like, where was the switch from like kinesiology to DJing?
So the kinesiology, I feel like was doing kinesiology, and I didn't pick my major at first when I got into college. I probably didn't pick it till my third year. It took me 5 years to graduate.
Yeah.
And I had been doing intramural sports. I've been, athlete in high school and running the intramural sports program in college. And so I found out, and it was just like, hey, I love sports. I love exercise. Why not study something that, is interesting to me? Even just like stuff about like the human body and the anatomy and stuff like that. Like, I feel like it's super important to know this body that I have and what it does and, the functionality of it.
And especially, again, being an athlete, being into sports, makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. But then it also, like, you can kind of make the connection as well, too, where kinesiology is like movement of the body. And so it's like, like that could be athletes and sports and stuff like that, but like people dancing is movement of the body as well too. I'm still working these other jobs in order to pay the bills to make sure that I can, cover rent and all the other things that I need to pay for. Exactly. But now I've actually feel like I've been a lot more focused because I did start off, trying to do the nightlife route, and I was like, okay, like this is cool, but like at the same token, I'm not going to be able to make a good amount of money to survive, especially in the Bay Area. I mean, I feel like I like also connected with you because you went through doing radio DJ, right? Back in like 2008. 2008, 2010.
2010 era.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like I felt like, going to these clubs and these events of seeing these great DJs, like I feel like it's such a euphoric moment that they can have to be able to provide this music, provide this entertainment and their skill set to allow these people to have such a great time. And so that's why I kind of had that desire is like, man, I want to do that. And so that's kind of where I started to try to go until I figured I'm not really going to make that much money doing it. I'll have to work all these other jobs. So it's been exciting to kind of come a little bit more focused into doing all types of events, but putting more energy. I think in this last year is when I've really been focusing a lot more on weddings. But I also feel like it's an ebb and flow of like the time of the year also can dictate like what type of event it is. So, obviously there's a lot of holiday parties around December time that are coming up. There's not as many weddings. Sure, there is some, but during the colder times, there's not as much. Summertime, obviously, super amount of weddings. And then you have your, proms and or homecoming type stuff that are, throughout the year at different times as well, too. So I like being able to do all these types of events because it allows me to be really well-rounded. But anytime that people are having fun, it's like if I'm not DJing an event, enjoying that, then I'm going to events. And so there's a lot of events that I'm going and I just like to be, I'm a really social person. And I like to be around people that are having a good time, enjoying themselves, have smiles on their face. And so that's kind of like how I roll like on a day-to-day basis. So,
I can just tell, man, that there's probably so many DJs that are watching this right now that can relate to you. First and foremost, like we all love creating memories and being a part of like, what I like to call being vibe creators, right? We're like literally creating a vibe in a room that we have control over emotions and the things that can happen, right? Putting smiles on people's faces. Another thing I would say is like even tears on people's faces, but the happy tears. You know what I mean? Which is really great too. But man, I'm guilty of it. I know so many probably that are listening to this right now are maybe in that spot as well that you and I have been in, which is pursuing nightlife. Where we're like, man, I like the consistency of like a residency where like there's like every week I've got gigs coming in, right? That kind of thing. I like to be the cool DJ on stage. Like, it comes a little bit with some notoriety and some respect, some street cred. What got you to realize like nightlife was not going to be the move for you?
Let me tell you. It was great. I feel like when I started with you and I told you that I wanted to do nightlife, you kind of directed me. It's like, hey, I've pursued that before. These are the steps that you need to take, reaching out to bar managers, club managers and things like that. And it was a grind and it was nasty. And I'll tell the story of like how like I came to that conclusion. Like I probably did about a year of doing bar, nightlife, clubs, whatever. And it was great to be able to be pushed out of my comfort zone, to go reach out to these people because, a lot of people want things that just come to them. Like I'm going to get so technically good that people are going to be calling my phone begging me to be the DJ at their
because some of the
club.
DJs that you look up to, that's what's happening.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's like what the expectation was. And so you kind of put, a really great idea in my head of like, hey, throw your own event. Like, like talk to these bars and clubs and be like, hey, like, this is the system or process that we're going to set up, like, so that you win, I win. My goal is to get people in the door. Obviously I want to DJ and make sure that everybody has a good time. So we went through like these like ideas of being able to throw different types of party, whether it's a glow party or a theme night or Beyonce night or whatever kind of thing. And there's specifically one bar that I went to. I'm gonna say the name. If that's
okay. Yeah, sure.
Oh man, it was called Milk Bar. And
I remember, yeah, I was there with you, man. Like, okay,
yeah. No, I got to tell the story.
Yeah, for sure,
for the listeners out there.
Absolutely.
So Milk Bar had a manager, and I
didn't call him out by name. No, just kidding.
No, actually, don't even remember his name. But I wish. Milk Bar had a manager that I actually showed up to the bar and I started befriending some of the bartenders. Like getting to know their names.
Yeah.
And I would literally write down their names. Now, prior to that, like, I would drive from Berkeley, Oakland to San Francisco, pay my bridge toll, come over there, and I'd probably sit in the car for at least a good 10, 15 minutes. And I just had so much anxiety, nerves, like, what am I going to say? How am I going to answer this question? How am I going to be confident enough that they are going to be able to trust me with being able to give me this opportunity?
Yeah.
And, I'd write down the names of these bartenders just so that, if I come in, I can call them by name. We start to build this relationship. And I can find out more information about some of the events they do, right? What events have they seen? What events are working? That way I can get ideas of like, hey, maybe they haven't tried this and maybe this would allow them to be a little bit more successful, just to give that like different opinion from outside. The bar manager at Milk Bar, I met with him like several times. And then I spent a week going there every single day. And the thing was that I was giving him proposals of like how we can be successful, right? Whether it's I take the money of a cover charge at the door, obviously he's gonna get the bar sales. Like we're both winning because I need people to come into the doors for this to be successful. For me to make some money, you obviously are gonna win from that. Just different ideas of like, hey, why not put a speaker outside, so that people know that something is going on instead of just people that drive by. Maybe have some sort of flashing lights, and just went back and forth so many times with like writing out a proposal that we would both be happy with, and coming back and hearing his feedback, rewriting a new one, and then still not happy and going back and forth. And that's when I was just like, I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting anything out of it, And so it's like, maybe that was just a bad apple. But I also was like, it's a grind, but it's also just not, financially gonna be able to support me. It's like, I feel like if I did want to pursue that, I still would have to work those 9 to 5s, maybe multiple, and that's kind of the situation that I'm in. But I feel like with the growth that I've had with my DJ company, I can see that vision of getting over the hill and not having to work these other jobs and be able to just support myself from running a DJ company. So,
do you mind expanding on that? Like, how did you, first off, how did you grow the DJ company more to give you that confidence to be like, I don't need this not my stuff anymore. Like, this is what I want to do instead.
So just getting the gigs was a big thing for me, right? Like, I'm not really into the dollars and cents at this point. Like, I'm, putting every dollar that I can to build up the company as much as I can, because I want to be able to get to that point where I'm way more successful. And I feel like it's a sacrifice that I fortunately can take right now. And, allow myself to get that growth. But being able to learn things like how to advertise myself, not feeling like I need to rely on these pay for lead services, and just different ways of going about having leads, having better conversions on my my consultations, having a superior service. It's like I started off with literally nothing. It's like now I'm like, okay, I want to add more value. And sometimes it's like, okay, do I allocate some of my money into getting this new shiny light, or whatever. Is that really going to add value or allow me to, charge the prices that I want to? And in some instances, yeah, right. There's a sense of like, hey, I need to have a professional look,
for sure.
But if I have something,
well, she definitely invested in that too, right? Like lighting, upgraded stuff. Yeah.
Right. But then it's also like juggling, like, okay, but I also need to look into making things efficient for my customers, right? Being able to have things where they can contact me easily and we can have these conversations, or they can make sure that I'm going to be a successful DJ for them, that they want to go with me, right? Because one of the big things is like, you want this person to be confident in you. That's the only way that you're going to make the sale, right? And so it's like, you have to be able to show experience. You have to be able to show, social proof, testimonials and things like that.
To build trust,
so
right?
that you can have that confidence.
Nobody's going to hand you the credit card.
Exactly.
If they don't trust you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But I also think that this growth for me has been really interesting because I always said the worst job that I never want to do is sales. And I said car salesman is the worst. I've rethought that. I think timeshare sales is way more difficult. I'd never really been into sales. And it's interesting that now that I'm running this company, I'm so fascinated with sales. I'm investing in, coaching and learning and, trying to improve my sales.
Man, you presented on sales for the mastermind.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, that's a whole switch then.
Right,
for sure.
Right. It's mind-boggling to me because it's like, sure, I've always been Rashad for 36 years now, but I'm not the same person that I was. Like years ago, 2018 when I started.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago. But I'm in no way that same person. I had a completely different mentality, completely different mind shift. So it's cool to see that growth and the modifications. It's similar to like onions. I didn't like onions when I was a kid. I didn't like guacamole. I love those things now.
Okay, interesting. For me, it was olives. Like I didn't like olives, and now I like olives.
Yeah. So it's just like people think, oh, I'm just going to be the same person forever. It's like, no, like things change. You might not be passionate about something or like a food item, and things change and years go, and you're a completely different person. But I'm really excited to have accepted this and kind of look at it as like a challenge. Like, I want to be that best salesman. And I looked at it from a completely different perspective years ago. So it's cool.
I'm curious to find out because some people are probably listening right now. They're like, Rashad, that's super cool. I want that. I want that mindset shift or that transformation. Like, what would you attribute that transformation like for you? Like, how did that spark and how did it actually happen for you?
Yeah, I think it's an accumulation from a lot of different things, but I think time is in confidence, right? As I've been able to have these successful events, see these clients that were happy with the product that I was able to give them, it starts to make me believe in myself. And so that when I am having these conversations and these consultation calls, I can have a lot more confidence. And I could be like, yeah, you know what, like, this is the price, I know that these are the results that you're looking for. If you want the results, here's the price. Like, I know that you might talk to Joe Schmo on the side that's cheaper, but they're not going to deliver the results that you want, because you've already told me the results that you want. I already told you I can deliver that stuff. So just being able to see potential in myself, being able to like have confidence and a vision of where I want to go, has allowed me to really think like, I can do this. All these people weren't DJs when they came out the womb, right? Like, didn't have DJ companies. They had to get to that point. And so I've looked at competitors in my area. It's like, damn, it'd be really cool to do what they're doing, or to be on that type of level. And now it's like, oh, it's only a matter of time before I get to that level. So I really have just like had a growth in confidence and, being able to see some of my successes and some of those wins. Because there's a lot of times that, I feel like I can go by and not really like celebrate myself. And I think being able to allow myself to give myself these little celebrations, these little milestones, has allowed me to get that confidence and come off in a way that I can do these types of things. I can learn these types of sales things. I can learn how to build a website. It's like there's times that I'm like, dang, I really could pay somebody to do this to get it off my plate. But it's also like, I also want to learn it. You know, I feel like, hey, maybe there's something down the line that I'm going to need to modify. So I should learn this now instead of having to go back to X, Y, and Z person. And I understand like delegating at times is super beneficial.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, this is like my baby right now, right? It's like I want to be able to have as much control that I can, but also see the ability for me to learn and grow. And it's like, oh man, I can learn this. I can learn this. Like, oh, this is going to improve my SEO. Why don't I learn how to do that? Just learning like graphics, like Canva, you know, how to design a flyer, how to design a advertisement, or what types of wording or language speaks to your customers kind of thing, and going through some pitfalls to be able to find out what works. You know, I spoke yesterday in the mastermind about something that I feel like is a different way of approaching clients to get that sale. Right? Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of vendors that are doing cold calling and saying, hey, you have a wedding coming up. Have you booked your DJ? Have you booked your photo booth? Like, hey, oh, you haven't? Okay, well, I know that you have the wedding coming up on X day. Like, maybe we should have a chat, you know, about, you know, so we can get you booked before, you know, that day gets taken. And so I like that different element, because a lot of the times, like, it's the client going to the store, right? I go to a store to get groceries, right? Instead, like, maybe the grocery store's calling me like, hey, you know, you're going to be hungry in a little bit, you know, you want some apples or whatever it may be. So it's like, I feel like it's kind of cool to, you know, go through some of the pitfalls that I have, but also like give this different level of service that has allowed me to have a little bit of growth in the sales that I'm doing.
Yeah. Love that.
So,
man, I just want to honor you, because like, I remember in the beginning of our, you know, coaching relationship, there's a lot of fear in you, man. Like, there's a lot of like imposter syndrome, and you're just like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough for this. Or like you mentioned Milk Bar, right? You're sitting in your car. You know, I remember you explaining to me, it's like, you're like just trying to talk yourself into like, oh man, I just need to take massive imperfect action, right? Like, easy to learn it.
You know it.
Yeah, easy to learn it. Right. But like, you didn't want to do it, right? It was like super uncomfortable, and you're like, okay, but this is what I'm supposed to do. So just put yourself out there, right? And so many people have asked me, just like, because, you know, I got started fairly young myself. And so many people are like, man, Ben, where do you get your confidence from? Because it'd be, I mean, we're talking about, you know, I survived the 2008 crash, right? So it's like, when things were really down, I never lost my sense of confidence. And people are like, dude, how are you, like, where does that come from, right? Was it like your parents were super loving? No.
Right.
Absolutely not. I mean, I would say, like, again, big shout out to my mom. She's awesome. But, you know, you and I both know, like, I had a strained relationship with my dad, right? But it's about just doing things that make you uncomfortable and seeing what's on the other side of discomfort that gives you the feedback of, like, one, I didn't die. And two, oh, wait, it actually worked out. And then you're like, what else can I do, right? This is almost like, once you start proving yourself what you're capable of, then you're like, well, what else can I do, right? And so, and it's just cool, because like, we're talking about all the way from back when you're just trying to lock down a nightlife client, right? To now, like, you're just talking about sales, and you're talking about like marketing campaigns and websites and all this stuff, and you're like, dude, what else can I do, right? So it's like, it's just so cool to see the transformation in your level of confidence, man. So I just want to honor you.
No, I also like, I think I got so much from you. I mean, be honest with you, I never thought in my entire lifetime I would be interested in getting a mentor. You know, as a kid, I cheated a little bit in high school, sure. But this is like cheating. Like, this is like the fast track way. And I feel like I connected with you because, you know, you were my mentor. I looked up to you, you know, and the wisdom that you were able to provide for me. But also to like hear that you've had imposter syndrome, right? Like, first of all, I didn't even like know what that word, or ever heard that word. And after I heard that, I was like, oh, that's a label for exactly how I'm feeling. That's crazy. Like, there's a lot of times us men don't really talk about emotions and things like that. Like, that thing that puts to the side. But then it's like, somebody that I'm looking up to has had imposter syndrome. And the more that I use that term, I'm like, you know, I would talk with people, even some of the DJs that are in the nightlife venues that, that even before their sets, they're having imposter syndrome as well too. It's like, you have a gigantic crowd. You're getting like, you know, like all this like love from all these people. Like, why would you have imposter syndrome? But it's like, we're human, you know? And it's like, to be able to like identify that and then be like, okay, like you were saying, push through that fear to get to a point where it's like, oh, nobody died. I moved forward. I got through it. Maybe I learned something, but what's the next direction that I can go, or what's the next thing I can level up on?
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Thanks, man, for that. I would say, like, again, I just shared kind of my story, and then also like shared what's worked for me.
Yeah.
But you're the one who put in the work. Like, you're the one who, like, because that's the part where a mentor or coach really can't do it for you.
Right.
They can share based off experience, hopefully based off experience. There's a lot of like fake gurus out there that are just, you know, they watch a YouTube video and then they regurgitate what they learned as the theory, but they've never actually experienced it themselves, right? But like good mentors, they actually teach based off real experience. Like, they've gone through it and they're like, this is how it's, I don't know if it's going to work out for you, but this is how it's worked for me, right? But in the end, you as a client, you have to do the work. Yeah. And the hard part is so many don't, because the fear, the imposter syndrome is the thing that cripples them and holds them back from like being able to move forward. How are you able to get past that? Because like, there's so many people right now watching that are probably like, dude, I'm dealing with that right now. Yeah. Do you have some practical advice of like, dude, how do I get over imposter syndrome? How do I get past like, man, I'm really scared to do this next thing. I know it's good for me. I'm scared.
Yeah. First and foremost, accept it.
Yeah.
Like, just be like, hey, I have these types of feelings about X, Y, and Z. And I feel like I'm not good enough to do X, Y, and Z. And I think once you have that recognition that you're accepting it, allows you to get those types of thoughts in your head. It's like, well, what if it's better than I expect? You know, like, what if it's way better than I expect? And what if it's not that bad? Or, you know, you get to a point where it's like, what if I actually learned from this and now I can do it? When I was doing those stop-ins to these club managers, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, tell me no quicker, because I'd rather just move on to the next person.
For sure.
And it's like, now, once I got to that point, it's like, I wasn't sitting in my car for 15, 20 minutes, thinking about, oh, what happens? Like, I'm a little scared, or maybe I shouldn't do it. Like, I'm like, let me come in through this door, have a little chat. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, cool. It's like you get to a point that, you were fearful. You wasted all this time not doing it. And then you try the first time and you're like, oh, okay, like, that was really nerve wracking. I had a lot of emotions during that time, but it wasn't that bad. Let me try it again. And each time that you do it, it's less, easier, right? less. And then now it's like, let me call this person. Let me show up to them. Like, let's have a chat and break through that imposter syndrome, so you're not having that feeling anymore. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much, man. Because like, again, there's so many people that talk themselves out of it. They worry. To me personally, worrying is a waste of your energy and time. Yeah. Because you can't control the outcome anyways, right? Like, you can control your outcomes of like the things that you do every day, right? But you can't control the decision maker's decision. Right. So it's like, if you are like scared to even go up to that, that cute person that you're into, right? You don't have a full choice. You get to take the action of approaching that person, asking for the number, whatever else, right? But like, you don't have control over what they're going to say to you. Right. And so if you don't have control over it, why worry about it? Like, it's, let the cars fall where they're going to fall. And by the way, if they don't fall in your favor, you're still going to be alive. Right. You're not going to die. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But so many of us are like, well, if my business doesn't work out, then I'm going to be homeless. And when I'm homeless, I'm going to die. Right. It's like, no. Yeah. You'll just like go through some pain, some embarrassment, and it sucks. Yeah. And like, you got to lick your wounds for a little bit and you get back up and you try again. Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things I think is super beneficial as well too, is sharing with people, right? Yeah. When I tell a friend that this is something that I want to do, or I'm going to do, I feel like they're going to hold me accountable. And that's definitely how I felt working with you, especially on our one-on-one sessions. You told me, hey, you need to go reach out to 3 bars or nightclubs. And there was also this fear in me of like, shit, I can't just show up and say that I didn't do it. Like, I wanted to make you proud. Like, I wanted to make sure that I held my word, right? I told you this is something that, or you told me this is something you should do. I told you I would do it. And it's like, hey, I need to go about doing it. So if people do have things like imposter syndrome, like sharing wildly important goals with them so that maybe you show up and you meet like, oh, your friend says, hey, how's that goal that you've been working on? Or, how's the progress? Or, give me some updates on it. And you having that
you don't want to tell that person, oh, I actually not even doing it anymore, or like I'm still thinking about it, or I'm scared, or like, you know, all this sort of stuff. Like, you don't want to have that type of response. You want to be like, oh man, I killed it. Yeah, I'm already moving on to the next thing, you know? And so it's like being able to share with your family, your friends, the people that are close to you, I feel like is super helpful to kind of break through that imposter syndrome. Like, it might feel crazy as hell to be like, oh yeah, like I'm about to, you know, do X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna do it by this date. And really feel like that's not attainable for you, but you're going to be so driven to do it just because you want to hold your word for what you said to your friends and family. So
Absolutely.
I feel like it's super helpful to share.
No, that's really powerful. Because like I feel like nowadays, man, we're in this information age where like information is just so readily available on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on podcasts, right? And so many people just like learn, right? But there's no accountability at all. There's no real-time feedback that these videos can provide you or this podcast can provide you. Even this podcast right now, it's like you can listen in on our conversation, but we can't actually look at what you're doing right now to give you real feedback. Like, yeah, you know, I know you probably misinterpreted that, like, but you should be doing this instead, right? Like, you can't have course correction conversations with a YouTube video. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like to get in the right community. It doesn't have to be coaching, but like around the right people that like just know what they're doing already. That like the best filter is like surround yourself around people that you'd love to trade places with. Yeah. Like, and so many of us do this where like we ask our family or our friends. Right. And if you're really real with yourself, you're like, man, I love my friends. I love my family. But I actually wouldn't want to trade places with them. So it's like, why ask for advice from those people if you're not willing to trade places with them? Yeah. Right? Yeah. No, I, as a kid, like, I feel like I've always, like, surrounded myself around, like, older people. Like, not, like, much older, but, like, instead of kicking it with the kids that were my age or younger, I would kick it with the ones that are maybe 1 to 2 years older. And so being in this community with a whole bunch of other DJs that are, you know, either manage a DJ company or, you know, working specifically on certain types of events, has just been a wealth of knowledge, and something that I want to make them proud as well too, you know. But it's also that I'll have a toolbox of resources that these people are at the level. These people are higher than me. These people have a plethora of information, and so I feel like it's really cool to surround myself around people that have gone through it before, done the stuff, and maybe have tried X, Y, and Z, and it didn't work, and so they can give me that feedback when I say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You don't have to like learn the hard way, right? Exactly. You get to learn from there. They paid those dues of the mistakes where you don't have to, which is beautiful. Man. Again, it's the cheat code. It is a cheat code. You're right. It's a cheat code. Yeah. Love that, man. Yeah. You know, there's a couple things that come to mind. One is, I love, you know, just pointers for people that are listening. Yeah. Another thing that helps me get past imposter syndrome, and by the way, I've told you this, Rashad, right? Yeah. But it's like everybody deals with imposter syndrome. There's just levels to this. That like even though I'm a little further ahead than you in the journey, right? I still deal with imposter syndrome just as much as you do, right? Just with different things. Like, you know, we just work with the MGM Grand, right? Yeah. You don't think I had a little bit of imposter syndrome with this? I've never worked with a major casino in Las Vegas Strip before, right? But I did it anyways, right? And it's just like, and I learned a lot. Right, yeah. And by the way, we made a lot of mistakes, by the way, right? And learned a lot from those. But the thing is that, like, what really helps me is mantras. So, like, one is what you have on your wrist right there, massive imperfect action. Yeah. Right? So whenever those creeping, doubting thoughts start coming in, to tell yourself, massive imperfect action. Regardless of how I feel, massive imperfect action. Right. And another new favorite of mine is, don't act on your feelings, just do what's required. Right? So it's like, don't worry about how you feel, just do what's required. Yeah. So there's plenty of times when I've been working with this major casino, there's so many curveballs, so many hidden things that they pulled on me, right? That I was like, man, and I felt wronged, and I didn't want to move forward with it. And it's like, screw my feelings. Yeah. Just got to move forward anyways and do what's required, because people are counting on me to, you know, they've already booked their flights, they've already paid for the tickets. Like, it doesn't matter about how I feel. Right. Just got to do what's required. Yeah. That's it, right? And so that's really helped me, like, plow through some major, like, walls of imposter syndrome and doubt. Yeah. So I used to do, you know, personal training. I really got into CrossFit for a little bit and was doing competitions. And I would get really, really anxious about that. And it's like, it was fun as hell. I loved it. But I still would get super anxious. And I had a mantra,
what was Floyd Mayweather? Hard work, dedication. And it's like, I feel like that's another one that you can utilize to help you make sure that you're progressing. Mm-hmm. I love the massive imperfect action, and I love these wristbands, right? Because it's like you are reminded on a daily basis that you're going to make some action, and you just need to keep doing something as opposed to just being fearful and sitting on the side of like, oh, how do I navigate? Yeah, the first thing that you try might not work, but you're going to learn something from it. And so, I love that you said that, because I feel like mantras are a great way for people to kind of break through that imposter syndrome.
Definitely, because it's all mindset. It's really all mindset.
Right. Which can be holding you back from so much.
For sure. For sure.
So it's just changing that mindset.
Dude, it's so crazy to like sit here with you right now, man. Because like to me, I just remember our initial conversations, and I would say like the one thing from my perspective was, man, Rashad's got a lot of mindset work to do. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things that he's holding himself back on. Yeah. And now I'm hearing you like coach these people on camera right now about, dude, you just got to do this. Like it's like a huge transformation, man. Yeah. It's so cool to see like where your mindset is at. Man. Yeah.
I mean, I hope it could be a cheat code for other people, right? Yeah, to see and hear, and know that these things you can move past, right? Mm-hmm. You can have growth. You can do these types of things. And so I hope that, people who are listening can look at this as a cheat code of like, hey, knowing like everybody goes through it. And it's like, hey, all I gotta do is change my mindset. Maybe I need to, share with people about, what my goals are, or maybe I need to, find other ways to tackle it. But yeah, like it's all doable. Like don't let all these obstacles or barriers hold you back. Like, break through that, and then you'll be so much more successful quicker.
Absolutely.
That's what we want. We want things fast, right? I want it immediately. I want my DoorDash here already. Like what the
Amazon one, right?
Amazon Prime,
Exactly.
Alan Berg said like, why is it not here already? Like there's tomorrow. There's 2 days from now, or why is it already here?
Right. So, well, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. How can people find out more about you, maybe follow you on social media and so forth?
Yeah. So I'm in the Bay Area. I live in Oakland. My business is in Berkeley. So I do events all the Bay Area, San Jose, San Francisco. I even go up to Sacramento for some events as well, too. But it's djshawdy.com, SHAWDY. That's my website. I got TikTok stuff that I'm working on. I got a little challenge with my boy Joe Matt, a little taco dinner challenge. So you can find me there. Most of my socials is like DJ_Shawdy Entertainment. So yeah, you can check me out there. I'm sure there's going to be a link in the bio.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. And then Shawdy is SHAWDY.
Yep. So yeah, it was like a nickname when I was a kid, and so then ever since I was just like, all right, let me just make this my DJ name, and then now I just why not make it my business thing?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it works, and so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, go follow the guy on TikTok and Instagram and all the different socials, because he is actually trying to get more followers to win this challenge too, for some tacos. Yes.
Help me win these tacos. I got to crush Joe Matt.
Which means that he's coming out with fire contests, so you should definitely give him a boy a follow.
And it's all learning, right? I'm making massive imperfect action. I have these breakthroughs. I'm sorry to go back to
this. No, it's all good. Yeah.
But like, I have these like videos that I'm creating, or these ideas, and I'm like, I feel like I need a day to redo it, or I need to do it again. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, let me just put it out there. Let me make this action. Sure, I'm going to learn how to make the edits that I want to, or these concepts and these ideas, or these attention grabbing things that are, or the content that's going to be helpful for the people that I'm looking to serve. But it's like, let me get this out. I'm going to make mistakes along the way. It's not going to be the perfect quality, but the next one's going to get better and better and better.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
I think it's great, man, because again, like, even for me, it's like, one is, there's so many times where we release a video or a reel or something, because I don't edit it, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't even schedule like the posts, right? And so it's my staff that takes care of all that, and sometimes they have spelling errors. Yeah. And I don't care. Yeah. I'm like, if anything, that makes it look like it's not AI. Right. It's not like, it's real. Yeah. And so if anything, people will see that, and I'm not going to die. Right. Exactly.
So it's like, they're going to be able to understand most of the time what you were trying to say anyways.
Exactly. For sure. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Man, appreciate you.
Absolutely. Pleasure. Sure. Yeah, definitely.